Well, one observer with a really good grasp on what's going on, as well as great contacts around the world, is the editor of the Financial Times, Lionel Barber. I caught up with him in Washington before the Greek referendum was called off, but some of the interview was salvageable. He was on his way to Australia for a keynote speech at the Lowy Institute later this month. Well, Lionel Barber, doesn't all this change everyone's view about the Greek Prime Minister, George Papandreou? I mean, previously he was thought to be pretty sensible, but now everyone thinks he's crazy, don't they?
Well, I don't know whether he's certifiable, so to speak, but again, I speak to and point you to the pressure that he's under at the moment, and I suppose this is not just the last throw of the dice. This is like Casino Royale with James Bond and putting everything on the table, everything, millions, in the hope that, in essence, he tells the Greek people, if you don't vote yes to this, you're not just out of the euro, but you risk being out of the European Union and sliding really off into the Balkans.
Italian bond yields are rising pretty rapidly. How close are we, do you think, to some kind of uncontrollable contagion?
Well, again, I hate to use words that could be inflammatory or make a situation worse. So let me just try to capture the kind of conversations that I've had with the top really senior people in Washington. They are talking about Europe being on the brink. They're talking about all the gains that we heard last week about this comprehensive plan to deal with the euro crisis now unraveling because of this decision by Greece to hold a referendum, and also the concerns about funding for Italy. This puts enormous pressure on the central bank. The new European Central Bank President, Mario Draghi, is the ECB going to intervene? All of this is now on the table, and I really do think that this is an existential moment for the eurozone.
Well, right now you're in Washington. What are you learning about the economic debate there, and what's your view about the US economy?
Well, we have a state of paralysis between the Congress, which is divided between Republicans and Democrats, and the executive branch headed by President Obama. And that impasse has lasted for months. There is a bipartisan group that's trying to reach agreement on measures to reduce the budget deficit beyond the $1 trillion of cuts. Most people, the people I've spoken to, do not expect much to come out of that. There may be a minor agreement. And the risk, Alan, is that if there is a minor agreement or no agreement to reduce the debt and deficit in the United States, that could combine with what's happening in Europe to make things very difficult in the US equity and debt markets. So this is a very combustible situation. The standoff at the moment in Washington between Republicans and Democrats is as acrimonious as it's ever been. So it's a pretty gloomy picture, I'm afraid.
Thanks very much, Lionel Barber.
It's a pleasure to be there, Alan.